Well, good morning. Good morning, Amber. Good morning to everybody watching. Welcome to another Live with Ingage. I'm Mike. I am the Director of Business Development at Ingage Partners. Excited for a great conversation. I will introduce my guest here in a second, but we're talking about getting real to build partnerships. So my guest today is someone I would consider a friend. We'll ask her if she shares that sentiment here in a second, but excited to introduce Amber Crawford, the Executive Vice President of Koncert Technology Solutions. Good morning, Amber.
Morning. Thanks for having me and my very first LinkedIn Live.
I know it's exciting. So the main question, do you consider yourself a friend of mine?
Of course I do. I mean, what have we known each other for like 8 years now in the industry, potentially, maybe
Yeah.
longer?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about transparency, building real relationships. But before we dive into all that, if you want to tell everybody a little bit more about kind of your background, how you got to where you are, and what Concert's all about.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with who am I first. So before I start professionally, I'll start personally. So I am a boy mom. I have two sons, Anders, who is 10, and Coda, who is 7. Reality is I'm a baseball mom, so you'll find me on the field probably 5 to 7 days a week. And if it is like it is today, maybe I rain out, I'll be at the batting cages.
Yeah.
I have a very bad music habit, so any really great band, love to see them live, music festivals, that's really kind of a hobby passion. Professionally, I am, as you mentioned, the EVP here at Concert. Concert IT Solutions is an MSP, so we have a high focus within the IT and engineering space, but we do help support customers with all needs, just as long as their primary spend is in one of those two buckets.
Mhm.
I started this journey probably 15 years ago. So I got a call from a friend of mine who I had worked with, like, hey, you need to switch to this space. Contingent's where you need to be. And I was like, absolutely not. Hiring is not what I love about my job today, but I had a lot of trust in him and made a industry hop. And so I spent a few years at another company and then moved to Concert about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Transparently, though, I came over to Concert. I wanted to make a difference in the MSP space. When I was on the other side, kind of staffing and doing sales,
Mhm.
MSP to me meant black hole. So any account that I got as an MSP, I was like, please, here, we're arming that. I'm not going to support it. I'm never going to get a placement or be able to engage. And so I wanted the industry to be known as something different when it came to what is an MSP, who is an MSP. But I also was a new mom. So when I started,
Yeah.
I really wanted operations, keep my heads down, work 8 to 5, figure out how to be a mom and what life meant for me. And anybody that knows me knows I'm not a heads down, sit back here in my little box and not do anything else.
Yep.
I'm a jump in, get it done, roll my sleeves up. How do we make this better type of person? And so 10 years has passed. I'm still with Concert, helping run the company. I love the pace. I couldn't say more things about my team. I love them. They're awesome. And all of our partners out there making the world happen and our clients. So that's how I got here. I just kept walking through some doors and trying to make a difference and finding partners along the way that would put up with me.
Yeah. I love that. What you led with, right? About who you are. You're a mom. You're those things. I think we're very similar in that manner that I probably tend to overshare when I meet people for the first time. But I do that because that's is who I am, right? That goes to the transparency part. I love your team as well. Everyone there is fantastic. How do you instill that transparency or make sure that when you're bringing people onto the team that they kind of live that way or fit that mold that you yourself have kind of set the standard for?
Hard one. So it's kind of about proactive communication, but it's also about real communication. So we work in an industry where regardless how great your processes are, we work with people. And so
Mhm.
there are things that you're going to have an up and down with or things that aren't going to go as planned. And so it's getting in front of that transparent communication. It is having the tougher conversation, but it's also about knowing that it's not always gonna be perfect, and that's not the goal. It's about what solutions do you provide. So when we're talking with a team or clients, it's make that call first. And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you're calling, it is have that same conversation and be authentic with everybody, because that's what they're going to remember in the end. You're going to be remembered by your tough conversations, or that you were there in that hard time, or you found a solution.
Hmm.
So anytime we're talking with a team, it's all about just be transparent and real. People will appreciate that, even when things don't go as planned or something happens. And so it's a conversation with our team. It's a conversation we have day one when we're interviewing. It's a conversation with all of our partners and clients. And they know they can rely on that. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Here it is.
Yeah.
This is what happened, and here's how we're going to fix it. And it may not always be something bad. It may be something great, but
Right.
be transparent in the good times and in the bad.
Yeah, I'll share an anecdote that I didn't intend to share, but it leads right into that comment. I was sitting in this very room, so I'm in my house here in Cincinnati. It was April 2020. Nothing was going on in April 2020. Life was peachy already, but no. So COVID was going on, everything else, and you and I had to have a tough and honest conversation. And you called me right afterwards. We had a call with a bigger group, and you called me afterwards, and we're very honest about where things stood, what were next steps, right? And that's very, very important. It has always stood out to me. Instead of leaving people hanging, wondering, all right, what's next? It's, hey, this is what happened. Here's how we move on, and there's a future ahead of us. 5 years later, you're joining me on LinkedIn Live, so I think it went pretty well. So I appreciate that you've always done that. Where do clients, where do vendors, where do people get it wrong? Where do they try to approach a relationship about being real and they kind of miss a little bit?
It's all when somebody isn't being real or authentic, it's more transactional. It's more of the whole conversation is what can I get out of this for me? So that's a lot of times when somebody approaches me that may be a vendor, they're ultimately looking on how do I get on your list?
Hmm.
How do I get new jobs? How do I get this? How do I expand into an SOW space? And so when the relationship becomes transactional, I think when that happens and not being real, I think like you said, 5 years ago when we had that conversation, it wasn't a great subject, but it happened and it was real. And we're
Hmm.
probably in a better spot because we both were just honest with each other in that conversation. And so when
Right.
somebody goes wrong, it's you're not you don't have the empathy, or you don't have the solution, or hey, this is just be real, right? And so
Hmm.
so many times it is even down to when somebody opens a job rec, right? It's how can we help you? Why do you have this open? Or what is your team dynamic like? What are you working on? And you want to find all of those little nuggets to do a better job. Or you could just get on the phone and be like, okay, can you email me the job description and I'll send you interviews and be done.
Right.
And so
Right.
it is truly displaying what does a partnership look like versus I'm here to check some checklist boxes for you, and then that
Yeah.
becomes transactional, and that doesn't lead anywhere except for to the next transaction.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. You all, your team, yourself included, all of Concert get a lot of praise from your client managers, right? That's a different relationship. How do you create that transparency on the front end with those folks to ensure that they trust that you're on their side, that you're doing the best you can for them?
Yeah, so on the vendor side, it's you probably won't have a better team working for you than our team, right? So at the end of the day, when you're talking partners looking to submit candidates to make placements, that's kind of our same goal. So,
Hmm.
our motto is finding the right talent at the right time at the right price. The team has the same goal, finding the right person, maybe from your company or another, and then submitting them over
Yeah.
to our clients. But it's giving that feedback back to them like, hey, you missed the mark here, and this is why, as much as we can. It's
Yeah.
also getting things to move quickly. And so, once that candidate's submitted, how can they get through the process faster and know exactly where they stand? So, here's where the interview is, here's who is interviewing, even if it's not your particular candidate. This is an interview that's taking place. Here is when it's
Yeah.
going to end, and here is where it is. So that's kind of how they build the trust. We also are very big about not just leaning into a job description. And so we try to give as much information and invite as many people to the front end of the process so that you can
Yeah.
really understand what you are filling. Um, Nobody wants to post a job rec into a black hole and have candidates, and then you spent, weeks recruiting and they don't align because the job description wasn't right. And so we really try to be the voice of all of our account managers for our supplier partners.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want to make a placement, we want to close the rec and make a placement, and we want to do it
Right.
efficiently and not waste anybody's time. But we also want to be able to pick up the phone and call when we need something. So, say we need, yesterday we got an email, hey, can you fill these 24 positions in a week and a half? Potentially, yes, but let me make a couple calls first and see what we can do with it, right? And so
Right.
when you call, you want the person on the other end of that call to take you seriously and know that this isn't just something that you're going to spin your wheels on and it's going to be closed. So that's kind of how we're there. We always show up. And then when
Mhm.
something doesn't go as planned and it crashes, here's what happened, here's why, and here's what we're doing to mitigate that from happening in the future. Because as an account manager with a vendor, the voice is crucial when they're going back to their recruitment team or their national recruitment team. Every company's set up differently and saying, I have this need. Here's
Yep.
why. Here's my relationship. In order for somebody to support that role for you and get the best candidates, you have to be transparent and have trust there. Other words, you're just getting something tossed over the fence of any resume that's there.
Right. Yeah, you brought up a great point. I think in our industry, the need to deliver and say yes all the time. Yes, I can do that. Yeah, I got that for you. Yeah, I'm on it. Right. Sometimes throwing in the I might be able to, I might not because of this or that creates that trust even more so. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to succeed in every single situation. And when we do fail, being honest about why we did, or we do this. Ingage does this quite a lot. We've got other partners that we work with in the Cincinnati area. Hey, why don't you go to so and so because they actually do a better job of this than we do. So I think being honest when you're asked or when you have a request of yourself that you can't provide, it helps. Do you have an anecdote or a story where you feel like a relationship or a genuine connection kind of started out of nowhere and what it's grown to and how that's kind of changed either that relationship or how concerts approached it? Any good stories?
Ooh, hot on the press here. So I've got so many stories. I
Yeah.
think it's all relationship driven though. So, um, some of the things that have stood out to me in the past is when we've had a client, a partner pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, we want you to come with us to this conference." And,
Yeah.
and normally what I get is people calling, "Hey, can you help me sponsor this event? Or can
Right.
you come do this piece of it?" And the client was like, "No, I want you to be my partner. I want you to stand here with us and join in lockstep and have this conference together." So that is an aha moment, something that stood out to us. And we
Yeah.
worked really hard to get there. But I mean, it all started with a relationship, just sitting around a table. Like, what's going on? How can we help you? It wasn't about end goal partnering and getting the business. It literally was about, hey, you're struggling and you shouldn't be
Yeah.
struggling this much in the contingent space. Contingent
Hmm.
workforce, yes, it has its hiccups, but it's not difficult. And so let us solve these problems. And years later, we're standing next to them at conferences.
Yeah.
From the vendor side, it's totally different. There's one in particular that walked up to me at a conference and just started talking. And took a better part of 6 years to get on our vendor list, but
Wow.
the relationship was very authentic. And so every time there was something that came up that he thought I might have interest in, hey, I think you might have interest in this article or this conference, or this
Mm.
is what we're attending and sponsoring. Same thing, like, a couple of my team members and I came over to your office and we were
Right.
bagging little snack bags, right? Hey, here's things that we have a common interest. Later, they're going to result to something that's going to happen in business, but that was neither of our thought processes when we were standing in the Engage office
Right.
bagging little snack bags, right? We were talking, what's going on? What are changes? We meet some different team members.
Yeah.
And so some of the relationships where I thought it was literally just a hi and introduction, have paid it forward for us. I know another one, it's nothing feels better than when a vendor sends a referral over or an email to prospective client, like, you
Yeah.
have let me do an introduction for you.
Right.
And here's all the reasons why. And so the feeling is like sometimes you're like, "Oh, I think we're doing a good job." And then you'll get this email or this introduction and you're like, wow, that was awesome. And they didn't need to go above and beyond and do that. So I think there's so many things that have happened, but honestly,
Those are great.
it's that like you sit back and you're like, whoa, I can't believe that just happened. Like
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah, I say this all the time when I'm chatting with people. Our community and the space that we work in can seem very big at times if you're not being real and transparent and you don't have connections to pull on. And it can seem so small, right? When you do need a favor and someone's there to step up and help you out. And continuing to put that out into the world and help others is it's just key. You mentioned it. Engaged is very big on the fact that we try to put social impact before business success a lot of the times. I know Koncert, you have become more and more involved in the community. Was that something that you emphasized from the beginning? Where did that come from? And now what's your favorite way to get involved in the community?
It's not something that we've always been as heavily involved in as we are today. I would say it kind of slowly started, I would say probably post COVID, maybe right before COVID. We did a couple things here and there, but I mean, now it's um, this year we picked up 2 classes with Adopt a Class, one at Glendale and one in
Yeah.
Hamilton. We've been the 5K Heart Mini sponsor for the last several years. We Make a Wish is huge. We go to the gala, plus help build Make a Wish baskets and help do kickoff events for kids that are going on a trip for their wish. We
Hmm.
Here starts now walking for a good cause to raise money. We Ronald McDonald House, Free Store Food Bank, Matthew 25 Ministries, you name it. Sometimes I feel like we dedicate a lot of hours. So our goal has always been 10% of our hours each month give back to the community,
Okay.
and also invest a little over $100,000 each year into those different events. And so
Yeah.
um, it kind of snowballed for us. And so you do this one event and you see the wow and the impact, and then you do another event, and then you do another event, and then you do another event, and then next thing you know, I was on a call yesterday with my team and the
Yeah.
co-chair of the ERG in the chair, and they're like, "Here's what we're doing for the rest of the year." And you look at the calendar and you're like, wow, that's a lot. But we can do it. We
Yeah.
can do it and get our hands wrapped around it. But it's also just seeing the impact. And so whether you're bagging stuff and you walk away and you're like, oh, we just bagged 900 lunches and this is where they're going, or you
Hmm.
get a kid at the end of the school year on the field trip that was like, hey, this was a comment that you made to me and it stuck out to me, right? And so it's that
Yeah.
impact that you give. It's taking the family. Our team did a kickoff for Make a Wish for a kid getting a wish at a local restaurant, and
Okay.
it's seeing all of that. And so it kind of snowballed for us. We aren't gonna pull it back in any way. It's just like, where do we want to spend our focus, and what are we getting out of it? Are we having the energy spent in the right place with the right organizations? And so having the team rally around that has been awesome. Just seeing everyone's face. But I mean, giving back, who doesn't like love that, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
and it helps bring people together. We invite our clients, we invite vendor partners. And so when we attend like the event at yours, we go to other places that are giving back. And so it's
Right.
huge for us to make sure as a small, diverse company that we're giving back to areas that need support from us as well.
Yeah, you attract like-minded people by doing that, right? This whole
Mhm.
topic we're talking about getting real, that's as real as you can get is taking time out of your day and dedicating it to, other people and helping them out. I think that's super important. When new vendors potentially approach you for the first time, you've never met them, right? They've got, say, 30 seconds to make a good impression on you. What's that right first thing to say, and what's that very wrong first thing to say? And if you've got an anecdote of where someone's fallen flat on their face, you can share it, but we won't name names.
We won't name names.
Unless you want
30
to.
seconds is hard. I think the worst thing you could walk up to myself or anyone on the team, really not me, because I'm probably the worst person to come up to and try to talk to me
Yeah.
as a new vendor because I make zero decisions on our vendor list. That's the team. But
Right. Right.
Somebody walking up that says, "Hey, I am this, I'm a staffing company and I want on your list." Hi, who
Yeah.
are you? What makes
Right.
you different? Like, give me some success stories, something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody that genuinely walks up, and I've had this happen to me. Somebody walked up, we were at a happy hour. My name is, and I'm with this company, and I just wanted to walk up and introduce myself because I've heard a lot about your company. Here's the things I've heard, and I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then lead into something. What makes you different? What is unique about your organization? What makes you stand out? And have it be something that's not the typical. Oh, we have, dedicated recruiters and we pre-screen our candidates and we talk to
Yeah.
them and we meet with them. Great. I'm
Yeah.
hoping every vendor on our list does the same thing, right?
Correct. Of course.
And
Yeah.
so, what makes it different about what you do that would add value in the MSP space, knowing we're trying to be different? We are not
Yep.
a transactional MSP, we're more consultative. It is about elevating. It's not about, oh, what system to use? I'll submit my candidates. It is really elevating that. Our goal right now, our time to hire is under 10 days. It's been as low as 8. Industry is closer to 45. And so that's where we're striving. We want to be known as I can pick up the phone. I already have a bench of talent because we have the trust and the logic built. And so it's about getting those candidates ready. And so, how can you help us in that transformation?
Yeah.
And then, if it's not about a sales thing, it's about also remind me where we've met. And so I go to
Right.
a lot of conferences. I have a lot of conversations. I could probably pick up my phone and tell you I have over 300 text messages I've not answered this week. I think I looked this morning, I had 137 voicemails. So I may not
Okay.
remember every conversation that I've had, but if somebody says, "Hey, I met you at ProcureCon in Vegas, and this is what we did or talked about," or "Hey, I saw you at NMSDC, and this is what
Yeah.
we said," that triggers something and it just then carries the conversation forward and makes it more authentic.
Yep.
It could be as, "Hey, I get this all the time. Hey, I saw the charity event that you guys attended on your LinkedIn, or I read this blog post that your team just wrote, or hey, I saw this LinkedIn. Hey, I saw you on with Ingage with Mike Morse and thought
Yeah.
this was
Hopefully,
great,"
we're not
right?
giving away the script right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the perfect lead in versus that transactional, just add me to your list. And that's more
Yep.
often of what we get. I would almost lay a bet I could look at my email over here on my monitor and say, when I get off, I probably have 15 emails
Yeah.
of a chat GTP scripted, like, "Hey, I really want to be on your list. And we focus in this, and this. And here's who we're also on the list for this, and this.
Yep.
Can I set up a call with you?" And so that's more often what we get versus the value lead in conversations.
And let's be real, everyone. Don't leave voicemails. Okay. It's
No.
2025. Just don't leave a voicemail. No one's. We're reading the script on there and we're deleting it really quickly. That's across the board. So you were on the other side. You mentioned this all the way going back to the beginning, right? You were selling.
Mhm.
When you think back to your approach then, what would you have told Amber, new to the IT staffing game back then? What advice would you give her?
Find all the tools that you have today back then, right? You have
Yeah, yeah,
all the contact that you can pull now and the
right.
automated stuff, like, that's amazing. I would have said do some research on your technology and tools.
Yeah,
I would have reaffirmed that I was right in my decision. It's all about quality over quantity. Um, and it's also about, admit what you don't know is probably another thing I would have told myself. I came into recruiting IT and I knew nothing about IT. I could turn my cell phone on, I could plug in my computer. Everyone was like, "Oh, you're like tier 3 tech support." But the reality is I didn't know anything about coding back then. And so it would have
right.
been admit that more, do more research and educate yourself on the industry. But
Yeah,
know that the people that were looking to buy from me weren't buying because I was an expert in what they were doing. It was buy from me because I had the the personality and the ability to talk to my candidates at the time and
Right.
relay, this is what they're looking for, this is what they're looking for. I feel like it's a match and here's the why, and being
Hmm.
okay with that. I think that was the biggest thing for me back then is I always thought I had to be a coder or understand how to read the code. I even took a short coding class to try to become an expert. And so
Okay.
just continue to admit what you don't know and just know where
Yep.
your strengths are is what I would have told myself. And then I would have also told myself, stop emailing people about getting added to the list and getting a contract and an
Right.
MSA.
Yep.
It'll come when it happens based upon relationships. And when you get one because of the relationship was there, the long-term success of that is significantly more. If you just get added because somebody's short on a vendor list, you're probably
Yeah.
out in 6 months. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen.
You're not going to stick. Did you have a mentor or someone early in your career that kind of helped you see that, like, or have you just been genuine your whole life? I mean, I get the sense that you've probably been like, I'm Amber, here's who I am since you were pretty young, but was there anyone professionally who showed you, hey, being upfront, honest, and genuine is actually going to lead to more success?
I probably have always had this habit of being direct.
Yeah.
I tell my team and I just did 360 degrees of feedback, and I said, one of the things that stood out to me early on in my career, and this is pre the contingent space.
Yeah.
My leader at the time gave me feedback and said, you say the same thing regardless of the person's title, and in our organization, you should change that and
Mm.
cater it to your audience. And I was like, ooh, I mean, if I ever become in that person's seat, I would wanna know the real like, give it to me straight, don't just tell me what you think I wanna hear. So
Right.
I've always been direct, but I did have somebody early on in my career that kinda, gave me the nudge of like, "Hey, you deserve to be in this room or you've earned it or have the confidence or here's where your strengths are and here's things that honestly as there are opportunities that you need to improve on so that people take you seriously or you're better in the market." And so I did have that type of mentor, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He's still around. He's the one that helped me get this job, which is nice. And so it's incredible, but you have to surround yourself by those people that can give you those nuggets so you can continue to grow personally and professionally for sure.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I think you can be born with certain traits and a personality, right? But you need to be able to have those people to help guide you to use it in the right ways. Have you hired anyone, not on the team currently, maybe, I don't know. Have you ever had anyone where you've sensed that they're kind of altering their messaging and the way they approach people because of their titles, right? They walk into the room, you introduce them to a VP, and they completely turn into a different person. How have you helped guide them? I guess how have you become that mentor? How do you correct that action?
Honestly, it some part of you probably earlier in middle of your career when you're first walking to scenario, like your voice elevates or it changes or you get nervous. And so
Yeah,
it's just to be like, hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, they, you did a great job here. You did this, here are things, and just
right.
keep pushing outside of the comfort zone because the more you're pushed, the more that you know that you can do what you're, where you're at and engage with different people at all different levels and industries. I have seen it. I feel like I've been in that same spot a few times where I'm like, whoo, I just, it came out a little different or I wasn't
Yeah, yeah,
prepared as that. And so it's happened. There are a couple people that I do mentor in our industry that I meet with on a frequent basis to just from a career path, where do they want to go, helping them get opportunities or at least scale within their areas and in their companies and giving them feedback. But it's been great to see a lot of them grow and just walk into things that they didn't have the confidence to do or push themselves or educate. So it's been great to see that. But I've got a couple that I meet with on a monthly basis.
yeah. That's excellent. We This is a shameless plug, but we're hosting a panel later this year through the circuit about imposter syndrome, right? And I think a lot of us, no matter what stage in your career, you get into rooms where you're looking around, you're like, wait, how did I get here? Aren't I still, brand new to the industry? But it is about just, it's great that you do that. Just reminding yourself and your teammates that you deserve to be here just like anybody else, right? And have that confidence in how you do it. We're coming up on time. This has been awesome. I really enjoyed the conversation. One of my favorite events that I ever did. I just want to ask you what your favorite has been. Koncert does a lot of non-traditional kind of networking. Sometimes I still have a picture somewhere of playing flag football a couple of years ago. I still think we got robbed, but that's a discussion for another time. What's been your favorite kind of non-traditional way to connect with people and to build those real relationships?
Flag football, playing bowling, like, it's all going
Yeah,
depends. So you are right, we try to do the non-traditional, partner connect events, and so we invite our clients and our supplier partners out to
yeah,
have, best practices, learn some stuff, but then also network in a more structured instead of, going to 12 happy hours. Here's everybody in one room, and we're all from the same industry, so let's share some best practices, get to know each other, how we work together all in one event. But, I mean, when you think, we do some of these events and I really hold my breath, like, are people gonna show up and play flag football, or is it not
right.
gonna rain, or what's it gonna be like? And then seeing everybody really show up like they are a professional flag football player and be into the game, and,
Yeah,
Giselle and our team having the mic, running through, like, that is the wow moment for me. And looking back and seeing all the videos and the recaps, bowlings, watching people knock pins down with football, it's a
yeah,
lot of fun, and honestly, just some of the crazy getting an event ready and seeing people show up for that. And we've had some crazy things behind the scenes, but it's been a lot of fun for our events. And it's not even just the events that we host. There's a lot, like, we've done bourbon tasting, and we've
hmm,
done a tour in LA on a mega bus, and
yeah,
we've done a different concert event. And so it's all of those different moments when people experience, like, I've done this for the first time, but you're really standing next to your competitor and the same
yeah,
client, and you're having a really good time doing it. So those are some of the things that I take back, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, people showed up,
yes,
and they didn't show up to check a box to be like, I have to do this because it's an MSP that I'm in. And you
right,
get people that fly in for it and they make a week of it. And it's incredible to see your partners. And just, it's like a year conversation when, we're still talking
yeah,
about flag football and who's got the
right, right.
trophy and what do we do and all the t-shirts that we bring home. And so it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my the Heart Walk this year, my daughter had a blast. She's, talks about the race that she completed, right? So all those memories are terrific. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything, we're not going to give your email out because we don't want you to get all those vendors reaching out. Is there any way that people can connect or continue to kind of follow all the great things that Concert's doing that you want to put out there?
LinkedIn is the great place to start.
Okay.
So we post our whole world. I feel like sometimes we don't post anything and we're doing all these things. And then the next thing I know, we post a lot. And so you can always find events that we're going to, or
Okay.
conferences, networking things. You can always reach out on LinkedIn and let us know where you're going. And a lot of times we'll show up. We'll probably be at the circuit event that you're going to be at that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And so let us know where you are, what you're doing. If you are a vendor interested in joining our list, you can go to our website. There's a vendor partnership page on our website, www.concertit.com. You can fill that out, and really take advantage of filling that information out. We do have a vendor development program that we bring in 3 to 5 vendors kind of on a bench getting ready. And I'll
Mhm.
be transparent and honest, you could be in that group for a year before you get an active client with us, because we want to make sure whoever we introduce to our clients, it's at the right time. But
Yeah.
the goal isn't to add vendors just for the sake of adding vendors to our program. It's when it is right and the competition is right, we'll make that happen. And so those are the ways. But honestly, just we're out everywhere. So, I mean, come see us at an event, walk up, engage. I mean, we're always
Yeah.
there. That's probably the easiest way that you're gonna be able to break through versus sending an email. But start on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Don't leave a voicemail.
Don't
Um,
leave me a voicemail. I got
don't leave.
137 of them for you. I haven't listened, but I do need to delete them.
There you go. Well, I will let you go do that. Amber, thank you so much. I really appreciate you hopping on and having the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for the invite and my first LinkedIn Live.
There you go. I think we did good. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.